Good morning, everybody. This is Anna Sothen with the In Crowd, and I am so excited to have you get Mrs. Presley.
Yes.
Yes. So tell everybody who you are.
Yeah, I'm Cara Pressley, also known as the career cheerleader.
Yes.
I encourage people to create the life that they want.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about that, because
Yeah.
that's a very unique title, I guess, for lack of a better word, right? Because you have career coaches, you have business coaches, you have life coaches, you have all those coaches upon coaches.
Plenty of coaches. There's plenty of coaches.
Yes, there are.
That was a problem.
Yeah. So why the career cheerleader? Why that?
The career cheerleader, because I found myself in a space. I worked for the government for over 20 years.
Okay.
But about year 15, if anybody who's already invested, you start getting your little extra time, annual leave, and then you look at that retirement date, and it's looking too far away. Right. It's 2039. It still hasn't gotten here yet.
No, it hasn't.
But I realized at that time, like, I don't want another job. I actually like my job. I don't need any career coaching. I don't need a new resume per se. I need a career cheerleader. I need someone to help me understand how I'm going to come to work every day and keep coming back over and over. So that's when I couldn't find a career cheerleader. So I became the career cheerleader because I knew other people needed that. We work all this time to get vested and stay at these companies, but no one helps you really stay at these companies. Right. So I've decided to do that for myself, and I knew other people needed it, so I encouraged them as well.
I love that. So yeah, I think that's a topic of conversation that we should be having, because 20, 30 years ago, people stayed in jobs.
Now,
whether they whether they actually liked their job is a different story, but you had longevity with companies, right? You had people who were retiring. I don't see that a lot these days.
Today, not as much. I mean, there's still people who want to grow with their company, but
absolutely,
it's a lot of jumping. COVID definitely changed that for some people.
Yes,
it's just an interesting dynamic now, but I feel like people still need someone to cheer them on, because I found myself in a space, especially I had a teenager at the time, where I was very much conditioned and very much stagnant in who I was as a person. So the Create the Life You Want came about because I needed to figure out how to be more of me in the workplace.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you can find joy, and no matter what you're doing, right, where you are, you will flourish.
Absolutely.
And whether you stay there or not, there's still joy to be found in the moment. Right. So I think that's super important. And I think we sort of gloss over it. Like you said, like there's a lot of job hopping, and, and people do it. There's various reasons why people do it, right? Money, relocation, changes in family dynamic, divorce, marriage, children, etc. But finding joy in the moment right here and right now is super important, no matter what you're doing, but especially in your career, especially if you're working a traditional 9 to 5. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So do you work mostly with, you work with any entrepreneurs?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. A lot of my clients, I do a variety of things. So everything from social media management to singing telegrams to mainly public speaking and event hosting. But I work with a lot of entrepreneurs for like my brainstorming. So they're the people who do want to create the life they want, and they're trying to figure out how to merge their personal and professional lives. So that's where my brainstorming sessions come in, and things like that. Other people mainly prefer my classes. It just depends on your need.
Okay. So yeah. So what does cheerleading look like? Because of course you say cheerleading, and I'm thinking short skirts and the pom poms.
Everybody just trying to find a logo. When I first got started, I was like, okay, so I got to be on the side.
Okay, a logo of bluebirds or anything?
No, it was all pom poms but it was like career. So I ended up going from a girl with pom poms to just a businesswoman, just standing out front. Because again, it was for myself as well, and I realized the more I stood out in front, we do a lot of posturing, right? We try to get the job, and then when you finally get the job, you end up still being this person who got the job, but you're not really fully yourself in the workplace.
Right.
And I decided that I needed to show these people in the workplace who I was, which was just a more fun dynamic. A lot of people don't talk about this, but I was the only Black person in the workplace.
Okay.
So I dealt with some significant bullying in the workplace, and people just don't talk about that. But that's still why I needed to show people who I was. And in my mind, I never thought people are actually plotting against you in the workplace. I just couldn't fathom that that's something that people would actually do.
I can't fathom that.
But they actually do it. I saw it and experienced it several times, but I had to reaffirm for myself who I am, what I knew I could do, what I'm capable of, even though I was minimized in some places or thrown under the bus, as they like to say, several times. So just continuing to stand out in front of who I am, making people aware, reintroducing myself to the team, encouraging other people who I do work with to stand firm in who they are personally and professionally. So literally asking them, what do you like about your job? And like really stopping to think about that besides the pay, because a lot of people stop there. So that's what
paycheck. I get paycheck.
I get to be off work. My, it pays my bill, and that's normally where people stop.
Right.
They don't think about anything past the leave they may get or retirement, or it's generally financially related. And I just help people kind of unlock and uncover what they like about their careers. And for me, when I did my own analysis on myself, I realized I just liked the education portion.
Okay.
So I was a training consultant for the Internal Revenue Service for over 20 years. But the last 15, I was at a high level executive branch level. So I used to commute to DC. But when I really broke down what I liked about my job, it was that they allowed me to be the lead instructor, master instructor for the effective presentation skills class and the public speaking class for leaders. I was training executives and leadership on how to speak and present in the workplace. But that's the only reason I was doing the job. I did all this other training analysis and whatnot in Excel for days upon days because I knew that I could train that class 3 weeks a year.
Okay.
So once I really broke that down for myself, I found what I liked about it.
Gotcha. So you only trained that class 3 weeks out of the 52 weeks in a year. And that's what you liked about it.
That's what I realized. I was like, I just wish I could do this all day, every day.
Gotcha.
So that's what I do now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about this analysis that you did. So how did you realize, one, that I love the fact that you saying, okay, I need to bring myself forward. I need to show people who I truly am. Because we do this a lot. Like you said, posturing. I mean, we do go out to Facebook and stuff like that.
People are pretending.
Pretending. I also tell people sometimes though, like, even if somebody's celebrating, maybe that is their moment of joy. And so celebrate with them. And so then when they have those moments that are not so joyful, they can go back and be like, remember what that felt like.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit of what this analysis looked like and how that process started and how it works.
Yeah, so I had to fail first several times. And so before I even became the career cheerleader, I was Big Bone Barbie, stand-up comedian.
Oh.
I was candle maker, candle wax and wine, RVA.
Okay.
I used to make candles and host wine tastings in my home. And then I realized if they drink the wine, they buy the candle. So that's where that came from. And then I was always just a great employee. So I always had a second job. And maybe because I was a single mom trying to make these ends meet, but I always had a second job. I was a hostess, event hostess. I always just worked for just a sidekick to these companies, right? So I was always in that space, and I had a house at 25. So I feel like I've just always been in a leadership forefront position, right? But when I got my house at 25, but like by 27, I was almost in foreclosure because you just kind of lagging on the. I can pay it whenever I want a little bit. Okay, so so I was almost in foreclosure. Save that. Then I was like, okay, I want to do something fun. So I became that comedian, Big Bone Barbie. And I realized quickly on stage, I can't tell these jokes every night back to back. I'm just not funny like that. Okay. I'm not a Kevin Hart. So then after I did that and I did the candles, I just realized I can't compete with Bath and Body Works. I just can't. And it just didn't work out. So I had to sit down with myself and ask myself, okay, these are the things you're doing. And I literally had host, sidekick, what have you, executive assistant, Big Bone Barbie, and candle making. Like, what do these things even have in common? Like, why? And I'm an analyst, so just going through all the rationale made sense for me. And I just wrote down all the skill sets, like, okay, what are you good at? Well, and then when I kind of crossed off all the parts I don't like, okay, I don't like the inventory of candles. Okay, I don't like the crowd possibly booing me at the stand-up part. And then the assistant part, I didn't like when the individuals or whoever I was assisting didn't have a clear vision. Okay. So when what was left out of the skill sets was just the speaking part. I just wanted to talk to the people and help the people. I wanted to help people feel better through the laughing. I wanted to help people feel calm and relaxed through the candles and whatnot and the wine. And I just wanted people to become their best selves. So that's where this came from, the creating the life you wanted. And I really carved out a space for myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a little bit about creating the life you wanted.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'm a firm believer that the life that you lead right now is a direct manifestation of what your thoughts are.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that. What does that mean to you, leading the life that you
Yeah, so creating the life I want, it just reminds me I don't have to take what's handed to me.
Right.
So like bills are due, right? They are due. But I have the power to put them in my very pretty letter organizer by my desk, so I can look at them in a positive way. Like I don't have to be so upset about finances or bills or work that I have to do. Like my notebooks, I love all my notebooks. I buy the notebooks I like with the paper I like. I get good pens. Like these are small places where I have permission to choose and don't just have to take the big pen that's 99 cents. Because does that make sense? Like
yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to buy the pen on Amazon that I want. I'm going to create the life that I want in just smaller ways. And I think when people initially hear it, they're like, you're going on vacation. Well, it doesn't have to be a $2,000 cruise. It could be a $2, my favorite peanut butter cracker in the parking lot before I go in the house, just to have a moment for myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like just really finding time for myself. Creating the life you want, I had to make it more of a verb because initially when it started, it was a lot of meditation.
Okay.
And if you do meditate and enjoy it, then you can stay there.
You can. Absolutely.
You don't even want to come out. And I was like, okay, girl, you can't just meditate our life away.
Right.
Yeah. Can't meditate my life away. So what does meditation, like truly being a living sacrifice, look like? So it's really just affirming what I like, acknowledging what I don't, and not just accepting anything.
Yeah, I love that. So it's, for me, it's all about the feeling, right? So if what is, and I liken it back to like, if you go and you buy a pair of pants, like you see it on somebody else and you're like, oh my gosh, I love this pair of pants.
So great.
Right. And then you go and you get them and you're like,
look that great on me.
They don't feel good. Right. So what I like to call square peg round holing anything. I refuse now to square peg round hole anything in my life anymore. Yeah, because I think as a society, we've sort of been conditioned to, that's what you do. You take whatever's given to you, and you just figure it out, and then you're just going to square peg round hole it, and you're just going to make it fit. Right. You're just going to make it work.
There are some spaces in life where you do have to just go with and roll with the punches, but it's okay to acknowledge, I don't like that. And a lot of people just don't.
Right.
Just acknowledging what you don't like is important.
Absolutely.
Because yes, you may have to do it at work to meet that deliverable, but you don't have to do it in the next process or when you start your own business or help someone else with their business. So it doesn't have to be the final.
It doesn't have to be a permanent thing.
Right.
There's sometimes in the moment, and the future is okay. Right. We can do it differently now that I've experienced
it differently. Right. It won't always be this way.
Right. Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, the day got to end.
It does. Yes, right. Absolutely. And tomorrow's always going to be better than today. So how do you support other people in their and cheering them on in their career? Yeah. So I want to say my favorite service has to be brainstorming sessions. Okay.
Because I start off with, how are you feeling? And I start off with that because I was told to ignore my feelings and I was too emotional in the workplace for a very long time, not realizing that like my emotions are legit my superpower. Like, absolutely. I feel energy like no other. People don't want to always acknowledge that, but like we just acknowledged Easter. Shout out to the Christians. Like you literally said someone rose from the dead. Like if that's what you want to believe, how can you not believe other feelings and other parts of your life and other miracles and things that happen? But just gotta
really good analogy.
Like, you got faith in that. Like, like it's not just for church, you know what I mean? So really just stop and ask people, how do they feel? What's going on with you this week? What's a hard place this week? What's the best place this week? Most of the time people don't have a best place. Most of the time people aren't practicing self-care, but really having them to just start the process of thinking about that is important to me. And then we go into, the details of their business. What do they want? What's important in my business is I ask people what they want personally and professionally. Okay. Because one thing I have no problem telling people, it's not time for you to be my client, because everyone, Mike
just said, okay, so I have to tell you. So as we were walking in, Mike was like, Cara fired me. Like, she was the first person to fire me as a client. I was like,
I'm ready. But I give myself that you're not ready.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's super, as any business owner, right? saying no to somebody who is not ready or not your ideal client. You do not have to work with everybody.
No, and that was the thing. I thought I had to cheer for everyone.
Right.
And people think that I cheer for everyone. Now, I am supportive of everyone doing their own thing.
Right.
But I am not supporting everyone.
Right.
Personally.
That's very different.
Very different.
Right.
I love Tabitha Brown. I give this example all the time. I love Tabitha Brown. Completely hate her food at Target. I will never eat it. I don't want sunshine seasoning. It tastes like dandelion dirt. It's disgusting for me. But I got her book. I met her in person, gave her a good old hug. We laughed and kikied. I love her clothes. Her food ain't it for me.
Right.
And I will still sit there and watch her cook. Probably because I don't have to smell it or eat it. Doesn't mean I don't like the way she moves as a person, or I don't like her growth. But it's a lot of people out here, you just want to support them because you think you should support them. And if it's not your ministry, it's not your ministry.
Right.
I don't like what you're doing. I like you as a person.
Yeah.
Don't like your product. Yeah. I can't buy any more shea butter. I don't know if you guys have shea butter. It lasts for 45 years. I don't need to buy it every time someone sells it.
Right.
Love that for you, that you're selling shea butter.
Yeah.
I don't personally need it.
Right.
So, small things like that.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that's a great analogy because I don't know, I've seen a lot because there's a lot of entrepreneurs on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
About just going out and support your friend, just buy your friend's products because your friend is buying and is selling those products. And while I agree with that, you don't have to buy all the products, right? You're like, if that lash serum doesn't work for me, I'm not gonna buy. If it makes my eyes itch, why would I buy it?
I'm allergic.
Exactly. Let me buy something else from you or support you in a different way.
Yes, let me share your flyer.
Yes.
Let me tell my friends about it, because the reality to me, I hear a lot of friends and family don't support me. They're not going to make you rich because they're not rich.
Right.
Not the way you're trying to be. You know what I mean? So it's for other people anyway. It's for another audience. You got to get in front of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So how do you find your clients? Or how do they find you?
They find me. So I do a lot of word of mouth.
Okay.
A lot of people just hear who I am. I have a segment on the Barry Farmer Morning Show. I've had a segment on ESPN before. I do classes. I have a website. I have a Facebook, Instagram page. So there's a lot of word of mouth, and a lot of networking.
Okay. Tell them your website real quick.
Yep. CaraPressley.com. CaraPressley.
Awesome.
Yes.
So what does the process look like besides Mike, when you actually take on a client?
When they're ready. I do an initial assessment. So 30-minute consultations are free, because let's just see if there's a vibe. And what I tell clients as well in that first 30 minutes is, if I'm not feeling you or you're not feeling me, I have no problem giving you a list of other resources and other people doing amazing work that can help you achieve your goal.
Yes.
I am here for everyone achieving their goal.
Right.
It may or may not be with me. And that's just because vibes are real.
Absolutely.
Some people don't like the way I positive them into their next season of life. Everyone's not ready to be positive yet. Now, I tell people all the time, kind of saved my life. So when you see me be positive, it's because I used to be not that great of a person. You know what I mean? And sometimes you have to go through one season to get to the next. But as clients come on, they get their 30-minute consultation. If they're booking brainstorming sessions, then after our 30-minute and you pay your full payment, we go through another 30-minute just assessment of just the details of your business, and then your session starts. So my brainstorming sessions are 2 hours or 4 hours.
Okay.
When it comes to a social media client, some of the same thing, 30-minute consult, 30-minute assessment, and then creation of whatever content you may need. I do month-to-month management as well as classes, because I tell people all the time, you really can get rid of your social media bill, Mike, but you have to be ready to create on your own and learn a new system. So I do classes in Zoom. It's recorded. You can keep it, watch it, all the basics. I do a lot of Canva creation, a lot of basic just-in-time content elevation. I'm not doing a whole lot of CapCut. We are understanding the basics of Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, fundamentals in those apps, and Canva. Just because, let's start. If you're not posting already, why would I give you 5 apps? So let's just start with the platforms themselves.
Yeah. Canva hates me, by the way.
Well, I can help you with that.
Yeah. I go in there and I will create something, and people too, everybody I know loves it, but I go in there and I create something and it doesn't look great. And then I try to go back and do the same thing. And she's like, no, you can't do that.
Whatever. Are you using the laptop or the phone?
Oh, laptop.
Okay, try the phone.
Phone's easier. I would think the phone would be harder.
It seems that way, but it's not. Now, I say that, but
you know how to use
I'm also
it.
I'm also very much on it all the time.
Okay.
But just there are different features that make a little more sense on the phone.
Gotcha. Okay. So I want to go back to something that you said earlier, because I think it's, and if you don't want to talk about it, just let me know. But you said somebody showed me kindness because I wasn't such a positive person. Would you mind talking?
Kind of saved my life.
Yes, kind of.
Yeah. I can talk about that.
Yes. Would you mind talking about it? Because I think it's super important.
Oh yeah. So can we curse on here?
No, you're not allowed to. Sorry, that's
what we asked.
That's the first thing I asked him. I was like, "Can I curse?" And he was like, "No." And I'm like,
I will tell the story. I was terrible as a person when I first started my IRS career.
Okay.
Working for the government. I was 18 though. I graduated in June. I started for the Internal Revenue Service in September. And I was part-time in college and they were paying $18 an hour. You can tell me nothing. I don't need this school. I'm working for the government. And I was good at it and I was successful and I moved right on up. Became a lead by the time I was 23 years old, so 18 to 23. So I just put my head down, did the work, had my son, raising him at the same time. I'm killing the game, right? But when it was time for promotion and I knew I was ready for a manager position, like, oh, I've got this in the bag. I didn't get it. I just could not believe that I didn't get it. Like who I was internally and who I was externally were two different people. Mm-hmm. And it didn't appear to me that way until I heard some ladies talking about me in the bathroom. Oh. And they were like, you're the word we can't say on here. You're a B, you're terrible, we don't like you, you're mean. And when I sat back and really thought about how I was treating people, responding to people, I thought because I was right and we're grown here and we're not in high school, what's the problem? Because I was right. That's the thing. But the way I would minimize and belittle leadership, managers who didn't know what they were talking about, but say they would know what they were talking about. Mm-hmm. I was just very not constructively giving my feedback.
Okay.
And I was terrible. And when those girls said that, I really had to sit with myself and say, wow, you were treating people terribly. You didn't consider their feelings at all. So I took a step back. I talked to my mom and she was like, well, what do you want people to say about you? Just think about that. And I was like, well, I want people to say I'm kind and nice. And she was like, well, are your actions doing, showing that? And they weren't. Mm-hmm. I wasn't doing kind things. I wasn't saying kind things. And I really had to change. And after I changed, I also drafted a letter. This is some real accountability. Shout out to 23-year-old me. I drafted a letter to 4 or 5 people in leadership who I respected, and then to a few mean girls who also had the positions I wanted but didn't like me. And I was like, I'm Cara Pressley. I'm a lead for these teams. I want to change and excel into leadership, but I really would like your feedback on how you think I need to do that and with some constructive criticism on what I could change and what don't you like about me. And they were brutally honest, man. And it was everything I already knew that they were going to say, but I needed some people to know that I was willing to change.
Yeah.
And from there, I did change. And the first thing people did was not believe me.
Oh.
They couldn't. She's just faking being nice.
Yeah.
No, this is really who I am now, guys. I'm really a nice person now. And it took over a year for that to really stick, for them to say, no, that's how she used to be. Because for every negative interaction, 7 positive interactions is what it takes to negate that.
Okay.
So I corrected it, changed it, got the manager position. I was the youngest IRS manager on the floor at 24 years old. And at 25, I bought my house. And then I also decided to go to Washington, D.C. because after I changed and became this person and became the manager, I was managing people my parents' age who were on the team, and they just could not respect that I had changed or that I was their manager. So that's when I started commuting to D.C. and got my journeyman grades.
I love that.
So yeah, that's why kindness, and don't get me wrong, this really is who I am, but the initial response of just your first thought is who I was living through. 18-year-old me was just not.
Yeah.
She, I call it the leftover school syndrome. Oh, pick me. I know it. I know the answer. I don't want to know it all anymore. Right. I want to keep learning. I want to see your perspective. I want to understand it. I want to acknowledge I'm different. You're different. So that's how I move now.
I love that. And that's how I make the world go round, right?
Yeah,
our differences.
Got to. Yeah.
Yes. I really love when people would say you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with.
That's a fact.
And I was like, okay, I like that. However, if the 5 people you spend the most time with think, talk, act, move like you do, I'm like, I don't want to be with those 5 people. I want to be with somebody who is going to be like, I want you to share something different. If I say, hey, Cara, look, what about this? And you're like, cool, see where you're coming from. Yeah. Have you thought about it from this perspective, using your lens? Yeah. And I can say, oh my God. Yeah. I never would have thought about that because I don't have your experiences. I don't have your perspective. And so to be able to shift it and be able to see something. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to change my opinion about whatever it is. However,
I want to acknowledge something different.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because that's how we grow.
Yeah. And my differences are the thing that helped me pivot when it was time for me to leave my job, and helped generate great relationships like with Jada Pinkett Smith on
that was so amazing.
My Red Table Talk group.
I love that. So I got to meet her, right? Yeah. I was on that Zoom call that you did. Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am talking to Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yes, you are.
Like, that's amazing. And that was through you.
Yeah, all because I wanted the goal now is to connect people similar to yourself. Yes. Our gay connector. I have a great relationship with Jada. We've been working together for 6 years, all because she saw some differences in me, and my differences were celebrated outside of the workplace. So she started her Worthy book tour. I didn't like the way they were treating her. And I was like, we need to just send her some love. Shout out to my RVA businesses. I asked all the businesses in Richmond who wants to give her a gift. People gave her a gift and she wanted to thank them personally. So we coordinated the Zoom call.
Yeah.
So that's how that started.
That was amazing. Yeah. So thank you for coming on today. This was amazing. Tell people again how they can reach out to you.
Yes, you can reach out to me. My website is carapressley.com, CARAPRESSLEY. On Instagram, The Career Cheerleader. TikTok, Feeling Successful, FELIN is the name. On X, it's Cara Pressley. YouTube, it's Cara Pressley. And Facebook, The Career Cheerleader.
I forget about X all the time. Somebody was talking about that on the radio today, and I was like, wait, what's that? Oh, that's right. That's over. So thank you again for being here. Thank you, Mike, for introducing us.
Thank you, Mike. Yes. Absolutely.
All right, everybody. Until we see each other next time, stay fluid, my friends. I'm always cheering for you.
Bye.